Well, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another episode of Topics with Mr. Javadi. The reason for the title is a simple, funny reason because for many years I taught school, so I thought of that title as being appropriate for what I'm trying to do. And what I'm trying to do is educate, inform, and serve. And today, boy, do we have an opportunity for that. We're talking to Ken Hale, who lives in Colombia and he teaches languages. I'll let him introduce himself and then we'll go from there. Ken, welcome to the program. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Ken Hale, and I was raised in Grand Junction. I also lived in Greeley and in Denver and a few other states in between. And I am retired now and enjoying the life living in Colombia, South America.
That is fabulous. That is fabulous. I've been getting ready, putting myself in the mood. So I've been watching some Colombia travel shows and just watching about Colombia the last couple of days quite a bit. And just prior to this, I was listening to some soft Colombian jazz music, and it was just wonderful. So, putting myself in that mode, and I'm just grateful that you've joined us. Ken, how long has it been since you've been living in Colombia?
Since 2008, off and on, and then permanently in 2017. That's the latest. I actually came to Colombia in 1976 for the first time and spent a year and a half down here studying languages, on a language exchange.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so I've been
So,
here a while.
yeah, quite a bit actually. So,
Yeah.
and I wasn't aware of that. For those of you that may not know, Ken is a family friend. He knew my parents and is a good friend of my brother and just a wonderful man. Always has interest in cultures and languages. I understand now you're speaking Farsi.
I have been, that has been my goal. I have to
Yeah.
say, it is a wonderful challenge. It's a beautiful language. The script is absolutely beautiful. And it's so different than my native language or even the other Romance languages like Portuguese that I'm learning also. So it's been a wonderful challenge that helps me know more what the student struggles through, as well as it helps me as a teacher to teach my students better.
And I have a question for you about your classes. So we're
Sure.
definitely, we're definitely going to be touching on that subject because that is true. You teach languages in Colombia, and that is just terrific. So my next question to you is, why did you decide to go to Colombia, or what made you decide to go to Colombia?
I think it was my first experience down here in 1976. I got acquainted with the beautiful country of Colombia and the people and the customs, and it was always on my mind when I came back. I came back and I worked in technology, teaching and training and support. But I was always thinking in the back of my mind, perhaps I will go back one day. And
Hmm.
in 2008, I did. I finally made it back. And so it was because previous experience what encouraged me to come back, what
Yeah.
introduced me to the culture.
Now, when you lived in Colorado, more particularly when you were in Greeley, which is where I
Yes.
am,
Yes.
and Greeley is I always introduce to people, I say it's stuck between two famous towns, Cheyenne and Denver. Even if you haven't heard of Greeley, those two famous towns are right around us.
Yes.
But when you lived in Greeley previously, I know you were speaking Spanish then.
Yes.
So, quite a bit actually. So, how fluent are you in Spanish? Are you about as fluent as a native?
Oh no, that's my ultimate test that I want to achieve. But
Hmm.
realistically, yeah, in some areas, in some phrases, in some situations, I can speak Spanish quite well, and I get compliments on how I speak Spanish. But in other situations, I'm still learning different things. But I can talk politics, medical, legal, cultural, and I can get by. And the thing is that when you learn a language, you'll get to a point where you may not know the word, but you can explain your way around.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. I think I understand a little bit about that because I'm working on Russian currently. so so
excellent.
so I kind of get what you're saying maybe a little bit.
I
Um,
understand. Well, and I might, if I might have just a moment, I think it's absolutely fantastic that you speak English fluently, Payman. This is your second language. Your first language was Persian. Not only did you learn to speak English fluently, you also taught English in the public schools. So you went way beyond fluency and had a wonderful career not only in accomplishing learning English, but also in teaching English. I think that's
well,
great.
I thank you, Ken, and I have to say I'm humbled by that. But it's been because of people like yourself that have kind of inspired me and been there as a mentor. I mean, you have been an example yourself. Because even back then in Greeley, you were trying to learn Farsi, and
Yes, yes,
the,
even back then.
even back then in ways of the culture, the food, you were really making some effort. So I'm just glad to see that you've kind of kept it going.
Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
have yourselves and your brother are so kind in helping me, and also I have a friend that you have met in Iran that is helping me. So I need all the help I can get, and it's starting to happen. So that's exciting.
Well, that's fab. Kheli Ali, Kheli Ali. That's great.
Kheli mamnoon, kheli mamnoon.
So it is English, obviously, as we are speaking English.
Yes.
Spanish, which I would definitely give you at least a minus. I mean, you're saying not quite, but I think you're A plus personally. But after what you just
Yeah.
said, I'm saying okay, maybe A minus. Uh, but I think you're at an A there, with Spanish. I mean, I was impressed with your Spanish in Colorado,
Yes.
let alone now that you've been there in the midst of the people, etc. So it's English, Spanish, Portuguese,
Portuguese. Is
and
my
now
recent one.
Farsi. So
Farsi.
how fluent in those languages? Just talk about that a little bit.
Well, I would say fluent in Spanish by a definition that I can get around. I need no interpreter. I can accomplish what I need to accomplish without any help at all. So that's I would say that's pretty good in fluency. Probably an upper beginner or lower intermediate Portuguese speaker now, and a very, very, very beginner in Persian.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and I actually even took, I did all of this. It was motivating to me to want to become a better teacher. And I actually studied Esperanto also and learned a little bit
Oh,
basic Esperanto.
yeah. Now, what's Esperanto exactly?
It's a man made language
Hmm.
by Zamenhof, which was really kind of interesting. I don't have the dates and facts, but his goal was to create a language that would be universally recognized throughout the world, that would encourage people to communicate on a level that was not culturally biased. And there's still many people learning Esperanto. It was a very interesting language for me to study, and I still work with it every now and then. But the main drive for me was I had learned Spanish through so many different years. I took 2 years of high school. I went to Colombia, South America, spent a year and a half there. And so I really couldn't tell you in the end, well, here was the path I took to learn that language. It
Hmm.
was all kinds of different activities. So I wanted to take a new language and start from zero and figure out what it is that is required for me to learn another language. That's especially like Portuguese. It makes sense because Brazil is down here. So the two languages in South America are Spanish and Portuguese. So I
Right.
thought, well, that's a great opportunity. And I was teaching someone in Brazil. And now I have three other people, companions, language companions in Brazil, plus a Portuguese teacher. So it's
Wow.
helping me
Wow.
out.
Wow. That is just amazing.
Hmm.
We're talking. Obviously, we're getting into diversity some.
Yes.
And from what I understand, Colombia has amazing diversity. You want to talk about that some? I know that it's people wise, it's kind of a melting pot, and then
Hmm.
And then what do they call that? Bio something diversity, like in the forest and all that.
Oh, the
It
Amazons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the
got an
rainforest. Uh-huh.
ecosystem that's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So go ahead and talk about that diversity.
Well, where I live in Villa de Leyva, it is a tourist town, and so I would probably see more tourists than one would normally see in a different city outside of that tourist thing. So yeah, it's Germans, Asians, French are the ones that come to mind. But of course, if you go to the capital city, there are even more people from different nationalities. I did a little study. I had to look this up because I really don't travel a lot. I travel within a defined area because it's my family, it's my interest. But there are actually a large Arab population in Colombia. And behind that, there are Germans, Japanese, and Chinese that also live. And I know that there's an Iranian embassy in Bogota because I was right by it.
So there's a little bit of Iranian population.
Yes, I'm still trying to figure out where they are because every town I go to, I start looking for an Iranian restaurant, and so far I've not been able to find one.
I'm sorry about that, but I'm sure as talented as you are, before I know it, you're making the food. So I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. But because you like cultures, I've noticed that,
Very much,
and you
very
like the
much.
food and things like that. So tell me a little bit about what the experience has been like. It sounds like you've just loved it. It's been great being there.
Oh, very much, very much. I think that's really a primary factor for anyone that travels to a different country
Hmm.
is what is their attitude? What are they looking for when they arrive at that country? The probably on the one side they're thinking, well, it's like the US and they're going to be disappointed. They really have to be open-minded and say there are different ways in life to live and all of these ways are valid. And so just be open. What I really like about living in different cultures and experiencing different cultures is it helps me question my own culture. It's like, well,
Right.
that's really interesting. I didn't think about it that way, but it makes all kinds of sense to me. So that's, if you're open, for example, I hardly ever meet with expats that speak
Hmm.
English. I pretty much divorced my English language
Oh well,
in
doesn't sound like
2017.
doesn't sound like it, but
you
okay.
know, every now and then I'll come to a point where it's like, oh, the Spanish word's coming in, but I've got to translate to English. So I've joked with my students. I said, now you can teach me English, and I'll learn Spanish from you.
No, Ken. Somehow I don't see that, but but yeah, you're pretty good with languages. Period. But so it's been a wonderful experience.
Very much.
Tell me about the people, about the setting. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Sure.
The
Uh
mannerism of the
huh.
people. Go ahead.
They're much more friendly and warm than I would have to say compared to the United States where I lived. It's easier and maybe it's because I'm a foreigner, so they kind of think things differently on me, but I don't think so. They are open to hugging each other and kissing one side of the cheek or the other. Uh,
Right.
where I came from in Colorado, that was not a custom at all. And I really like the closeness of the population. I can walk down the street and say hi to someone that I don't know, I'll never see again in my life, and they'll
Hmm.
return the hello, which
Hmm.
which I really like that. I really like the warmth of the Colombian culture. The food is just there's wonderful food here, just like in Iran. Uh, they have meat, potatoes, and rice, and all varieties of meat, vegetables. And the thing I think that I could say that is the most distinguishing factor of that is it's organic. Most of this is organic. Very little chemicals go into making the food. So it
Very natural. Very
made
natural.
by
Yes.
hand. Exactly. It's not They don't drop down as frozen package and throw it on the fry pan and heat it up for you.
Hmm.
Most of this comes right out of the country and into the restaurants, and they prepare it right there for you. So, and I have enjoyed. I don't run around looking for hamburgers and hot dogs. Although you could, when they see a foreigner, they think a foreigner wants hamburgers and hot dogs. No, I want bandeja paisa. I want the country plate instead of
Hmm.
the hot dog or the hamburger.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that sounds. I can understand why you love living there. I mean,
Yeah.
this is just kind of clear when you talk about it like that. By the way, the programs I was watching prior to the interview,
Hmm.
they all kind of verified what you're saying. Very friendly people, very
Yes.
respectful people. Tell me
Hmm.
about the family dynamics. They respect their elders and
Oh, yes,
things
yes.
like that. Go into that a little bit.
There's a tremendous respect. Now, of course, you have to understand that I'm speaking from a limited experience. So I'm married to a Colombian, and it's through associating with her family, but they're very united.
Hmm.
Especially now, unfortunately, her parents are no longer there, but very much respect for the mother and the father of the family when they always get together on holidays as a whole family, as many as can make it, and it's a lot of fun. It is an age range from very old to very young, and it's all natural. Like there isn't this embarrassment by the teenagers that I remember when I was growing up. It's like, oh, we got to go to grandpa and grandma's. It wasn't that way at all. It's a delight, and they dance together, they sing together, well, I'm like I say, it's my own experience. We celebrate New
Hmm.
Year's together. We celebrate Christmas together. We celebrate everyone's birthdays together. It's very, very much united. And if somebody gets sick, everybody knows about it. They do what they can to help that person. If someone is graduating or they get some award at work, everybody celebrates it. So it's everybody is involved with your life.
Well, and I remember that being on the Navajo reservation for
Hmm.
6 years, they're very community oriented and not so much individual, but more community. It
Yes,
it kind of sounds like sort of that's what you're saying about them.
very much.
Yeah, yeah.
Very much so. If you're within range, and within range, I mean like 4 to 6 hours maybe of travel, you you will want to go to be with the family to celebrate these special occasions. So it is very much family oriented. Where when my family kind of split and we went different ways, different states and all, there wasn't that effort to get back together for much other than maybe an anniversary, maybe a Christmas every now and then, but it wasn't consistent.
Yeah, and the Iranian culture is a lot like that as well. It's very,
Oh,
very, very together, very celebrating, if you will,
sure.
of the various events. And yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
Well, don't you think that that's really important for the children growing up, is that they have role models and they have family values, and they
Mhm.
don't lose that. They are absorbed into the TV culture about what they should be or what they should think. They have a good influence of their parents about what it takes to live a good life and be happy.
I want to ask you a little bit more about the people.
Hmm.
Education is valued pretty highly, or no?
Very much more so than when I was growing up. My own experience, because they realize down here that education means that you can get a job and you can get a good job. It's very competitive down here. There's
Hmm.
not as many opportunities, and that's why a number of the younger adults are very serious in their education, and then usually they leave Columbia to go work elsewhere. For
I see.
example, my family by marriage is scattered between Australia, Spain, and Germany. And they're all younger adults. They're working in their own professions there. So they're very much more serious, I believe, down here in education than what I saw in the public education where I went to school.
So you are saying that in context of, let us just say, secondary school and primary school, all that stuff down there,
Oh, yes.
and then it. I have the impression, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Uh-huh.
that they like degrees also, like they get their bachelor's and
Oh,
doctors and
yes.
masters. Yeah, so it's
Yes.
valued,
Uh-huh.
isn't it?
It
Academics.
is. An interesting thing about education, my very first teaching job, I had to prove that I had a bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have I think it's called the Hague Convention. And in the Hague Convention between Colombia and the United States, they both say we will honor your degree. So if I got a doctorate down here in Colombia, I could move to the States and they would recognize my doctorate. They,
I
in
see.
fact, recognized my degree from the United States so that allowed me to teach in a university.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so education very highly valued.
Yes,
Um,
very much so.
and the respect sounds like just goes all around, from young to old,
Yes,
old to young, etc.
yes.
Um, okay, I'm gonna go back to languages for a moment,
Sure.
just for a moment. How did you achieve learning these languages? What did you do to 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 learn them? Because that's amazing to me. I rarely see it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think my students struggled with this, and I'm getting better at this. It's not much of a struggle anymore. You have to put your ego aside. Now, my
Mhm.
emphasis is conversation. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
only use grammar if I have to.
Right.
My my emphasis is being able to communicate with people. I'm going to make mistakes. I still make mistakes after all these years of speaking Spanish, and some of the natives make mistakes too. That's what my wife told me one time. And so I think, number one is make peace with yourself that you're going to make mistakes in public and you're not going to let that stop you from it's not going to let you disappoint you. It's not going to give you fear that you're going to not speak at all. And like I said, that was the number one problem I had with most of the students I taught is they would not speak because they were afraid that they would make a mistake. Number two is practice,
Mhm.
persistence, frequency. So every day you do something. It's better that you work on your language, your target language, for 15 minutes a day, all say 6 days. Give it a rest on Sunday if you want, or whatever day you want to pick.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
do it every day consistently. And that is better than if you spend 2 hours on Saturday because we have this forgetting curve. And so when you learn something, you start to forget. So you keep pushing it up, pushing it up, pushing it up. And your mind is told, or you're telling your mind, this is important to me. You got to remember this. And it really works. I mean, there's two parts of learning languages for me in my experience. Is the mechanics, the conscious effort to practice, listen and listen, and then when I go to sleep, my mind is still working on things. And I tell my students this: if it was hard for you today, it will be easier for you tomorrow. Trust me, because it
Yeah.
happens.
Right. Because the effort pays off. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like somebody that they don't think, well, I'm not doing anything, but why am I getting better? And I notice that this is happening now. Portuguese is my latest language. Is just this interaction and knowing that I'm going to meet my teacher or my friends is going to make a difference, and my mind picks up in it. It absorbs the language much quicker.
Hmm. Well, and I have to say, forgive me because I'm looking at my questions, but
That's okay.
but I have to follow the script here and there. Um, but no, I just say in my notes, amazing achievement on languages, and you talked about your experience with languages, and you also talked about the fluency, um, and of course you described the people. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you on the people
Hmm.
is how are they when it comes to, let's say, social media? How are they when it comes to returning phone calls or emails? Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, very much. I would say it's the same as what we've seen in the United States. They return emails. They follow Facebook. They follow Twitter. Now, I'm speaking in theory because I'm busy enough, so I don't do Facebook, I don't do Twitter, I don't do X. But yeah, it's normal down here. There's lots of social networks that everybody participates in.
Right, right. I've kind of, and it's only because, as you may know, Ken, I'm kind of social.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the phone all the time when it comes to email or phone all the time when it comes to trying to help build my channel.
Sure.
And, kind of like I did with you, emailed you and whatnot, we set up a time, etc.
Sure.
I have to say, I find it rare here today in the States where people will return phone calls or emails. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
why I asked you that question because it's been on my
Mm-hmm.
mind. And it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like in Colombia, that's not the case. They return the phone calls, they return the emails.
Sure, especially if there's a reason to.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's we're interacting like with my language partners. I'll send them a notice just before the day before that we get together. I get an answer back. It's we're in constant contact, knowing what or I can't make it this time because I have a medical appointment. We're always informing each other about what's going on.
No, that's wonderful. And I think that's important. As a person who taught public speaking, I did, and
Yes,
communication, speech, debate, I think communication is huge. It's
isn't it?
huge.
It
Yeah.
sure is. Yeah.
And so I find it very refreshing that you're having that experience. So you talked about travel a little bit, and you stated you don't travel as much, but
Yes.
but you've done some traveling in Colombia. So tell me where you have gone to and
Uh-huh.
how you find the nature, the surroundings, etc.
Sure. My travel goes between the capital city and out to the coast. I actually get out to the Caribbean Ocean in a city called Cartagena. I've been there. I've been in San Andres, Santa Marta. Basically, along that Caribbean coast is just fantastically beautiful. It's. I remember thinking to myself as I looked out in this beautiful ocean, this is what I used to see in these magazines, and now I'm here. It's wonderful. You look down into the water and you can see, oh, maybe, 3, 4, 5 meters down, and it's just clear, and you can see these fish swimming around. Of course, I scuba dive, and so this is one of my joys of life is to be able to experience in this. So I do get out to the coast quite a bit so that I can go scuba diving, and I'm in one of the best places in the world to scuba dive. What's interesting is it's like a bath. It is not cold. I learned how to swim in Colorado where I would come out of the lakes blue with cold and shaking. And here it's not even cold when you jump in. And that was such a change to me. That was a cultural shock to me. I didn't have to suffer so much to swim.
Yeah. So the sea, the marine life is big down there because you've got the two coasts, and I
Yes.
and I learned that as I was watching some of the videos. I learned you have the Caribbean coast and you've got the Pacific, right?
Yes.
Those two, and so you are surrounded by a lot of water activity, and of course you scuba
Beautiful.
dive,
Yeah.
and I've seen
Yeah.
some of your scuba dive, experience photos that you've taken. It really seems very intriguing, very something like you were saying, like you would see in movies or something.
It's
Yeah.
it is a whole new world that it's almost like trying to explain to someone what it's like to swim when they've never been around water. It's just an amazing experience. The wildlife that's down there, the how you get so you get immersed, literally immersed in this whole new world that all of a sudden you've got 3 dimensions that you can move back and forth, up and down, and
Hmm.
you see all this variety of animals down there in the ocean. It's just amazing. It's an amazing experience. So
Well,
I live in the best place. I don't dream of going anywhere else to scuba dive.
wow, wow. Well, and by the way, I'm having some tea, so the Iranian way, except with ice.
Yeah.
So,
One thing I would like to
yeah,
say, as far as the
yeah.
social aspect of Colombia, I think, again, an advice for anybody that wants to go out foreign to a different country, make an effort to learn their language, even if it's just simple phrases, because that shows respect for the people and they admire you. So when I'm struggling down here to try to say something, the biggest fear I had when I did that was I'm going to make a mistake and I'm going to offend them. That never was the case. They were extremely grateful I was trying to communicate with them in their language, and they were very helpful too.
Hmm.
And so it's, for learning languages, get rid of that fear right off that you're going to
That,
offend
yeah,
somebody.
yeah. Um, so tell me a little bit about well, you kind of have touched on it, but the food. Now, that a lot of that is seafood, right? But it's also includes meats and
When you're on the coast, it's seafood. When you're inland, yes, you can get seafood, but it's more probably beef, pork, lamb, chicken, rabbit.
Mhm.
It's on the grill. It's barbecued a lot, or it's actually boiled. They will boil like chicken.
Mhm.
Potatoes, very very popular to come to as an accompaniment to your meal, as well as rice. Um, they have something like they have a thing called kukayo, or they have pega, and pega is tarik. In Persian is tariq. We have pega down here, so we have similar rice habits, and they spice up the rice deliciously. And then, of course, when you add country fresh vegetables, it's just fantastic. They have sausages. There's I find that because of the organic health of that, very fulfilling. That type of
Yeah,
food.
yeah. I was going to ask you about rice because that's big with Iran.
Yes.
Big in India, big in Iran, in Turkey. Countries like that. Rice is
Yes.
huge.
Uh huh.
Um, and I noticed in the videos that Colombia is fairly big on rice.
Yes, they
What
are.
do you think? What do you think that comes from?
Well, one thing, they grow it down here, so it is an agricultural product that's available.
So it is
And I
heat.
think it's cultural too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's rare. Every lunch dish and dinner dish that you have has a side of rice.
Okay.
So, it's either plain or it's mixed with vegetables, but there's always rice that comes with each plate that you ask
Mm.
for. They have another thing. Well, they have a couple of other things. They have a thing called platano, which is like a banana that's peeled and fried. They have yucca, which is a tuberous plant like a potato, but it's more firm, and it's delicious too. It's similar to a French fry, but it's like a natural. It's not a
Yeah. Yeah.
potato French
Yeah.
fry. It's a tuberous fry. That's
Organic.
great too.
Yeah. Organic.
Yes. Uh-huh.
No,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That just sounds so healthy. So that's just amazing. Tell me about this. What is the health of the people like down there? Are they fairly healthy? Because that sounds like with that type of diet, um, that at least it would help.
Yes, I'm just reflecting in my mind. Now it's been many years since I've been in the States. Um, I think that yes, you see people that are obese, but you
Mm,
don't see as many. The
mm.
people are there, they don't struggle with obesity like I was used to seeing in the States. They're more active too, because another great thing about Colombia is public transportation. It really exists down here. So, well, what does that mean? That means that you can hop a bus, a taxi, a small bus. You can get anywhere. I can get anywhere in Colombia in a terminal. I can be on my way in about 15 minutes. Also,
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
that implies that they walk a lot. We,
Hmm.
we walk a lot. They're a family that owns a car. They're now it is quite numerous. When I was down there in '76, it was very rare if a family owned a car. But you're obligated to walk to many places because you just don't have a car. In
Yeah.
fact,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't have a car. When I came
Yeah.
back to Colombia to live, I never bought a car. I didn't need a car. It was not necessary for me to live and be able to get around in Colombia. Their public transportation is super.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it. It was my experience when I went to
Hmm.
Kyrgyzstan with my wife Ayjan. About a year ago, we were there in Bishkek,
Yes.
and
Yes.
the bus system, unbelievable. And you really didn't need a car. You just
No.
got around, and it was very affordable.
Yes.
Very affordable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Uh,
example, there's, I don't know how many, 300, 400 kilometers away, maybe a bus ride of 3 hours. Very nice, luxurious bus. Cost me $15 to get from point A to point B, which,
hmm
I'll spend more in gas, more in road tolls than I would on the bus. The bus I can move transportation is very economical.
That's a very good point. It's a very good point.
Hmm.
Uh, Tell me about the teaching experience. And when I say that, of course, your own experience with it thus far, which I'm sure has been very positive. But next to that would be describe your courses some. So your experience and then describe the courses.
When you say courses, are those the courses that I took or the
No, the
courses
ones you
that I
teach.
teach?
The
The
ones you
ones
teach.
that I teach. Well,
Yeah.
I'd have to say that I started in 2008 when I came back to Colombia. People would look at me, and at that time, I had no language teaching experience at all. And I'd say, well, you speak English, so you must be able to teach it. So, and I was the only foreigner in town at that time. I was kind of obvious. So I thought, well, I teach technology. I've created lessons. I've always been teaching in one form or another. So why not? So I embarked on this journey in the university and quickly found out that teaching languages is a challenge of its own. The fact that I can speak a language does not mean I can teach that language. The
That's right.
fact that I can communicate in this language does not mean I understand how to teach someone else. And
hmm
that was fascinating to me because overall in my life, I've been one that looks at problems, tries to find solutions. And so I applied my same procedure or techniques to this teaching. What is it? What is it? How can I ignite in my students' minds the desire to learn, and how can I
hmm
explain language and give them methods to learn a language that's effective for them? And then of course,
Right.
as a teacher, there are different learning styles. So how it was a challenge because I had classes up to 35 students, and how do you keep everybody engaged and enjoying the learning process that have different learning styles? So this
hmm
took this took me a while, and I would have to say if anybody's thinking about traveling and teaching English, you need to get a teaching certification, not so much for the certification, but because it will enlighten you as to the topics you have to deal with as a teacher in the classroom. So I
Yeah.
taught university, high school, chamber of commerce, military, all of these different settings, and all of these had different requirements and different challenges. And eventually, over time, I was able to learn how to do class plans and how to measure students' progress and things like that. But when I came back in 2017, I said, I think I would just want to do one-on-one English conversation. And so I've stopped on that point there. That's where my happiness is. And as a teacher yourself, one of the things I struggled with such high numbers of students is I can't spend the time I feel like I need to spend with each student to help them succeed. Well,
Yeah.
now with one-on-one, they've got no competition. They have me for 45 minutes or an hour, so that's been a wonderful thing too.
So the way you teach your classes, it is structured with the one-on-one style, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you do it online, and I mean, just talk about that a little bit. How have you set up
Oh,
your classes? Yeah.
well, online was not what I was used to. It was like in 2017, 18, I was still classroom oriented. So I actually went to a local English teaching academy and asked them if I could borrow a classroom, and they could send whatever number of students they wanted to the classroom, and I would bring in my own students. I think the thing to mention here is all of this is done without charge. This is my hobby. And
Right.
so that we started in that way, but then with the quarantines that came out in 2019, I could no longer go to class. So my technical skills, I obviously started thinking about, well, let's teach online then. And I had a few people that I met in one city, and I would teach them from another city, and then it just kind of grew. And then it was one country to another country. And the for me, the tools that I have on my computer and online are so much more varied multimedia experience that I can give my student than I could in a classroom with just a chalkboard or a
Right.
marker board or a whiteboard or whatever you call it. And so I really now prefer I can show them movies, I can play sounds, I can bring up flashcards, I can bring up pictures. It's all on the screen. And so I'm very much oriented towards online teaching now and towards one-on-one because I really want to see my students progress. And all of the students I've worked with have made very good progress in learning English.
What's the sequence you use? Do you start them with like some basic vocabulary and advance them to more higher vocabulary and speaking, or uh,
Okay.
how do you sequence it basically? I mean, in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because every student I have is different.
Well, and
I mean,
every class is, yeah, yeah,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
yeah.
I teach conversation, but
Mhm.
that can mean all kinds of things to different people. And the
Right.
students' interest, I laugh because I call one student my lucha libre, the free wrestle, because he doesn't want any lesson topics at all. He wants to talk about what he experienced the previous week. But I think for anybody learning a language, you first have to learn sounds, and that was a big revelation to me. That's where I got introduced to the International Phonetic Alphabet. Now, I will have to say I'm pretty demanding on correct pronunciation. I don't expect my students to have native fluency, but I want them to try. And what does that do? What that does is when they speak, they will be understood by the people they're speaking to. And when those people speak back to them, their mind will recognize the sound they work so hard to learn. Because, for example, we got 46 different sounds and 5 vowels in English. In Spanish, we only have 5 vowels. And so if they try to understand English using Spanish vowels, they're not going to do it. If they try to speak English using Spanish vowels, nobody's going to understand them. So that one is the sound of the language. That's extremely important. Two is how it is written. And there's the challenge of English. Persian, Spanish, Portuguese are more phonetic. I can
Hmm.
pretty much guess how that word needs to be pronounced.
Hmm.
English, it's they're guessing. These poor people, they look at this and they see that the ape is pronounced one way one time and a different way a different time and a different way a different time. So it's more of a challenge for them. So what they have to do then is take their language bath, is what I call it. Every day, I suggest they listen 5 to 15 minutes of English and just get their mind accustomed to it. Because when we were born, we were surrounded with the sounds of our native language.
Hmm.
And and that's the challenge now
Yeah.
because the sounds of a foreign language are different. There are there are sounds that they make with their mouth, with their tongues, with their throats that are not common to their native language. So listen, and your mind is really busy trying to figure out just what is this? What's happening here? What does this mean? So if you
Well,
got the sounds,
yeah.
you got the letters, you got how to write,
Mhm.
and then the next thing I do, I use I want to tap into their interest. And so I have them, I challenge them, make a dialogue of something that you want to talk to me about. So
Okay.
it could be plants, it could be birds, it could be work, it could be anything. And we try to hit roughly 2 paragraphs. And then from there, we base all of our language lesson learning. What does it mean? How do I pronounce it? Repeat, ask questions. And it really jumps into a conversational mode really quickly that way. And that's where I want them to go. It's conversation.
No, that sounds wonderful. You also use repetition, it sounds like.
Yes,
uh,
very much.
to kind of try to, get them acquainted with what you're doing.
Yes, yes. And recordings. I will make recordings for them. So, for
Mhm.
example, if they have a dialogue on a bird that they saw in a tree, and I will read it to them in English, and then I will send that recording to them, and they can listen to it over and over and over. And I'll space my recording depending on what type of recording I want. I'll say a word and wait, and they need to shadow. They need to say that word again before I say it again. And I do that 3 times so that they can get confidence in how to pronounce that word. And if you
Mm.
do that for 5 days in a row, you're going to feel pretty comfortable about pronouncing that word.
Yeah. No, that sounds wonderful. I taught English in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan for about a month. It wasn't that
Yes,
long because we ended up having to come back. Things didn't work out. We ended up having to return to the States basically.
sure.
Situation called us to come back. But I didn't want to come back, and I loved it. I wanted to continue in that job because I loved it so much. And so, someday maybe again, I don't know. But it sounds to me like, well, what I was going to say was they did the same thing. They put a
Hmm.
lot of emphasis on conversation, because those kids were trying to learn English.
Uh huh.
And so conversation and repetition,
Yes.
stories, those were tremendous. Of course, you are using, I think, way more technology and doing the multimedia,
Yes.
which is very impressive. And I know a lot of the people, the viewers, would probably want more of that. So, I guess the next question I have for you, sir, is if people are interested in taking lessons from you, how do they reach you? What's the best way to reach
Well,
you? Yeah.
how can I say this? I've had
Uh,
the same students for the last 4 years, and I don't
okay.
have any more space.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm happy, very happy to discuss with any teacher maybe some of the ideas and experiences I've had, because I've really I've learned the basics. I've got certification, not only in TEFL but IDEL.
Mm,
And it's actually a U.S. based company called Bridge, which is an excellent place to get your certification. So it's just right under a master's degree in languages. But I've also just every day I ask myself when I finish my class, how could I improve? What seemed to work really well with this student? And I write journals and keep notes. I'm always trying something new. Like I just recently, I've started for one student that's extremely busy. I make a
mm-hmm.
recording about our lesson, about what she will learn when we meet. And I send it to her, and she can listen to that throughout the week so she's prepared for the lesson when we meet. So I guess
Mm,
it's just always being curious. I've just, in the last probably 4 or 5 months, I've started using artificial intelligence to help me make resource aids. So we'll take our dialogue, and then I'll have the artificial intelligence break this down into a vocabulary list by parts of speech and with the example sentence. And then
mm-hmm.
it can make comprehension questions. It can make suggestions about challenges for a non-native English speaker, what might be difficult for them to understand. I mean, it's just technology is fantastic. It's not going to replace the teacher, just like a language exchange partner will not be replaced by an artificial chatbot, but they have their place and they're excellent learning aids to learning another language.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. So you're not really open for, you don't have any vacancies for
No, no.
more students. Okay. But if people want to chat with you just for advice or something like that, is that a possibility or no?
Sure it is. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they want to do that, I can send you an email that they could email me at.
Okay.
And
Sounds
then
good.
put the key is put in the subject line the fact that you listened to this YouTube video.
Okay.
And that
All right.
that'll otherwise I'll delete the email.
Okay. Sounds good. So folks that are watching, you can just let me know, email me, and then
Mhm.
I'll get you. If Ken is okay with it, I'll get you his email
Sure.
for you,
Uh-huh.
and we'll go that route if that's all right with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So the next question I have for you is those, and you kind of have done it already, but maybe with a little bit more specificity. Since I'm a former teacher, since I guess I'm still in a way doing that via this channel in a way.
Yes, yes.
What would be your advice to young people who are thinking about going your path, whether it's languages or teaching in a
Hmm.
different country, etc.? What would be your advice
Hmm.
to them? Say they're in high school, they're thinking about it, they're watching this.
Oh, wow. Look for a language exchange opportunity. This is another, I can also send you this information. It's called English First, and I
Mm-hmm.
participate in their free conferences. They specialize in taking anything from high school to adults, retirees, and putting them in different countries to teach English as well as to learn the languages that's spoken in that country. It's a great resource. What I would say is look for language exchange opportunities. Well, and especially like in Greeley, when I was there, I thoroughly enjoyed speaking Spanish to a lot of people who spoke Spanish. Speak your language. Try to find people that speak the language that you want to learn. Also, it's not too early. Think about certification. And again, I say it's not for the certificate, it's so that you go through the process of learning what it's like to teach a language and learning how to plan class, learning about different learning styles, that you become accustomed to thinking about these things. When you go up to a class, you're starting already to think what it takes to teach a language. So certification is an excellent way to go. From there, you can have friends. You can volunteer. I'm not sure if it exists there in Greeley, but I have heard in different parts of the states. I know that in Canada they were offering where someone could volunteer who could speak English that would help migrant workers uh, learn
Mm-hmm.
how to speak English. That's wonderful. Look for volunteer opportunities. They'll be
Okay.
It'll be very easy for you to develop your experience that way. And then, of
Yeah.
course, if you want to go full speed on this, get a master's in linguistics at least,
Mm-hmm.
if not a
Mm-hmm.
doctorate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very important.
Hmm.
Well, Mr. Kenneth, this has been phenomenal. Really, really thank you for your generosity of time.
Certainly,
I know you are busy. You got a full day usually. Please give my best to your family in Colombia, your wonderful wife.
certainly.
And thank you so much for joining us. And you've done a phenomenal job of informing today and teaching as well. So, those are some of the goals I have in this channel. And thank you so much. And to the viewers, please like and subscribe. And keep in mind what Ken talked about if you're interested in going these routes. Thank you so much.